In this video, I will show some more operators of the Loopify add-on. So let's get started. I'll add a cube. I'll add a camera. Move it on the y-axis. Reset the rotation. Rotate its x-axis by 90 degrees and look through the camera. Now I will add some keyframes to work with. So maybe I want to animate X rotation. I'll insert a keyframe to it. I'll go to Graph Editor, and here is the Lupify tab. And I will show you some operators from bottom to top. So here is the loop rotation operator. To apply some operator, I must select the F-curve by double-clicking on it. I will press the loop rotation button. You can find properties of most operators of the Lupify in the redo window. Here is the parameter named turns. So maybe I want 3 turns. And now it makes 3 full turns in the range of the timeline. And I will animate Z rotation too. I'll select F-curve and press loop rotation again. So maybe now I want 2 turns. Let's look at next operator. Here is loop noise operator. Maybe I want some wiggle on Z location. Let's add a keyframe. Double click, select the curve again, don't forget it. I'll go to modifiers and add a noise modifier. Now it's wiggling too much. Let's increase the scale. Increase the strength. Okay. I'll change a phase a little bit. Something like that. I'll go back to the Loopify tab and press Loop Noise button. And now the noise is looped. Here I can randomize the noise seed. I'll press it and tweak this global offset parameter here. It basically shifts the phase of the noise modifier. And if multiple objects or multiple F-curves are selected, you can tweak the offset parameter to make different phase for each F-curve. And little bit about other noise operators. Remove noise loop operator just removes created loop. And remove all modifiers just removes all modifiers from selected F-curves. Okay, let's move on. In this header are 2 operators. Repeater and fix repeater operator. Let's say I want to animate the X location. I'll insert a keyframe here. Select the F-curve and press the repeater button. And again, some properties are in the redo panel. And here is the number of loops parameter, number of these waves. So let's say I want 4 of them. And now the cube moves from left to the right seamlessly. Maybe I want to increase amplitude a little bit. Maybe like that. Maybe I want some more repeats. Maybe 6. Okay. The fixed repeater looping operator just makes it loop again if you move the keyframes manually. So now it recognized 5 repeats here. Let's turn it back to 6. Maybe I should fix it in the add-on, but it is made for keyframes that aren't looped, and it approximately calculates how many times it can fit in the range of the timeline to make it loop. Next are the operators that are useful to tweak animations made by hand. Now I will animate the scale. I'll press I, choose the scale. Here I will isolate those F-curves. I will start typing scale here, and now I see only F-curves of the scale. I will create some animation here. And at the end, I want it to loop. I'll press the button, and it looks at this section of first 2 keyframes and makes section between last 2 keyframes same. I want to notice that those sections must intersect the start frame of the scene and the end frame of the scene. So first keyframe is before the start frame and last keyframe is after the end frame. Now I will make it nicer by adding the geometry nodes modifier. And I prepared this extrude setup. It is simple. It is just an icosphere. And this node tree just extrudes individual faces of this icosphere. The blend file will be in the description. Extrude amount is driven by the noise texture. And to the vector of this noise, I plugged the position node. And between that, I modified the rotation of this vector. I added rotate Euler and combine XYZ. And exposed it only Z-axis, so I can tweak it here. And perfect loop is 360 degrees. But here I must type it in radians. In radians, it's 2 times pi. And we can see that object looks the same as when the value is 0. I'll add a keyframe. I will use the loop rotation operator again, so I'll go to Graph Editor. This wired name is my parameter. I will select it to not ruin other animations. I can actually isolate it. Okay, I'll press the button and let's see how it moves. It is a perfect loop. I can go to rendered view, enable the scene lights and scene world. In the geometry nodes, I can apply materials to that. There are already some materials, but let's recreate it. Let's see. Here is the solid mesh. And here is the wireframe of that mesh. And here it's just joined together. So let's create materials. I will add new material and one more for the wireframe. This I will call solid. and this will be wire. For this branch, I will set solid, and for this branch, I will set wire. I'll go to shader editor, add emission node to the wire material, and plug it to the material output. Make solid material metallic. I will disable the scene lights for now so I can see it. Now I will add a lights. Shift A, light, area, G, Z. Power will be around 1000. I'll go to 3D viewport here, look from the top, and move the light, and rotate it so it looks at the object. And I'll duplicate the light. I'll add another light and move it behind the object. And scale it. This light will be reddish. And this will be blue for the contrast. I will enable the blue, increase the intensity. Maybe something like that. I want to increase the strength of the emission on the wireframe material so it blooms more. Faces are nicely catching lights and blooming. I will show now what does this match start and to operator. For example, let's tweak the scale of the F-curves. I will isolate it. I will delete all keyframes but the first one. At this frame, I will scale it down, and at the end, I will scale it approximately back. I'll press the button, and it puts it exactly where the first keyframe is. Nothing special, but helpful when I do many tweaks to keyframes. Let's look at it in rendered view. And here is the viewport render. That's it for this part. Bye.